Welcome to episode 6 of Divine Superconductor Radio. This is your host, Matt Blackburn, and today I'm interviewing Mark Ritz, the founder of Ritzfit, a podcast and online farmers market platform for sourcing the highest quality supplement and food ingredients. I think you'll really enjoy this podcast. We go through a lot of different topics and actually delve quite deeply into eggs and egg quality and provide some cool resources for you guys to check the dairy products that you're consuming and whether or not they're of high quality. So here we go. Enjoy this episode with Mark Ritz. I'm here with Mr. Mark Ritz. Mark, welcome to the show.
What's up, Matty B? How are you, brother?
I'm awesome. So Mark and I actually go way back. I was on his podcast, and it's called Ritzfit, right?
The No Diet Podcast. You were on there like 3 or 4 times, bro.
That's right. I was just testing you. Yeah, and we spoke about water and supplementation and flow agents, and there's so many details to supplements and products. And I think that's why a lot of people just say, screw it, I'm just going for whole foods. You know, Whole30, it's a lot simpler, but you know, you have to live your life, and eventually we're going to buy something in a bottle, a box, or a can, right? So we definitely need to be smart with shopping.
You got it. Yeah, man. It's, you know, the journey's it's been wild since you and I have connected, and Ritzfit right now is just all about setting a different standard in the natural product space. I mean, we're all intrigued by natural products, and I think that's where the gimmicky marketing and scary marketing comes in.
Yeah, that's well said. There's so much misinformation and I think intentional disinformation just to sell products. And so it's really important to just learn how to read labels. And I really like on your Instagram how you do, you know, Costco runs, and you'll turn the box over and say, why are you guys using this? And you literally call out companies. I think that's pretty admirable.
Yeah, it's important. You know, if we're going to set a different standard, it's important to let those companies know some of the things that are at the forefront of our minds from a conscious consumer standpoint, and consumers are getting more and more and more conscious about this stuff. And now with the social media platforms that we do have, as much as we try to limit it, it is a decent avenue to try to improve the landscape of the quality of products, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's how I look at social media. I think it gets a bad rap, and people say there's nothing good about it, and it drains your dopamine and it hurts the brain. And to some degree that's true, but we could also use, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube for good and for sharing information.
Shoot, man, most of what I know from you, it's all been lessons through your Instagram stories, and it's stuff that I look forward to, and it's stuff that I can now utilize in my own life to make myself a healthier person, my family a healthier person, and pay it along forward. And now we're trying to do a lot of that through Ritzfit and having my own company that focuses on ethical agriculture and ingredients. A lot of that and a lot of what you've taught me has played a part into how to look at things. So
awesome. Yeah. You've seen me go through the journey of trying different things, and basically in the last 6 months coming to, new realizations about sugar and carbs and the importance of saturated fat and amino acids. And you've been with me that whole journey. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. The sugar thing's interesting because you and I have talked a lot behind closed doors about how sourcing matters, and sourcing matters for all ingredients. And I think once you understand how sugar sourcing works, it becomes a little bit less scary. I think it's still a little bit of a new conversation, but, sourcing is outrageously important. And it's one of the main avenues we look at when we approve products to be sold to Ritzfit members.
Yeah. And before we jump into that, I bought local, well, quote local. I live in a small town and they have cane sugar here. And then I got a crazy message by a person that was like, that company is destroying the planet and blah, blah, blah. And I do my best, but sometimes I buy a product that later I learn is not of high integrity. That was the case with this cane sugar from Florida. And you actually turned me on to, was it Himalayan cane sugar, the brown stuff?
No, it's you and I talked. It's sun-dried cane sugar. It's really all about kind of the processing that I guess that makes it a much better quality ingredient. I think a lot of what's going on in these plantations is sugar cane gets grown at such scale, and when that happens and you're growing so much of it in one area and it's very dense, it doesn't really give the soil the opportunity to provide enough nutrients to all the sugar cane. And then in order to keep the operations moving quickly, they actually they're using PVC on these plantations, and they burn off the crops to restart it. So then you got to think about it when you're burning stuff and there's PVC in the plantation. It's is this leaching into the sugar? So, it's all about doing your due diligence and understanding, are we sourcing sugar cane from places that are in fairly remote areas, volcanic soil, in a nutrient dense environment? And how the hell do you figure that stuff out, right?
That's where Ritzfit comes in. Yeah,
that's it.
Yes, I'm looking on your website here, and you have spotlight deals. So you actually cycle deals on your website. And so you offer pretty much at cost for companies that you find, and you interview the owners and really grill them on their processing and sourcing, right?
Yeah, it's exactly right. There's a process to getting the product approved. It starts with the No Diet podcast. It starts with peeling back the label. You'll notice the tagline is shopping beneath the label. And, asking those tough questions, creating a different level of transparency, understanding who the creator is, getting to know them, putting a face and a voice to them. That's important. That's the farmer's market type feel, which we'll go into a little bit deeper. But, most of the interviews are done with companies that aren't close to making the cut. The cool thing is I don't shut that down. We're not just bringing elite products to the to the podcast, because again, if we really want to make a difference, we have to set a different standard for some of the people that aren't quite there yet, and ask those tough questions so they know that there are a lot of people looking for this different level of discernment. And so anyways, if I believe the product has a decent ingredient profile to make it to the next step of approval, which is really going deep into the certificate of analysis, the sourcing, and really hopping on 2 or 3 different calls with the creator and getting the product out to my ingredient experts, letting them come back with the rebuttaled questions, that is then kind of the approval process. It's like the podcast is the start, and it takes quite a while to get enough information to put a product out there.
Yeah, that's a pretty extensive vetting process, and that's super cool. And I think the idea is supporting these small businesses, like kind of family-run operations where they don't have a lot of marketing, right? And just kind of giving them a voice.
Well, it was I have this certain level of passion now for smaller companies, but when I first started this, it wasn't about that. It's just I actually learned that it is the small companies that have the best products, because these guys are willing to stay committed to raw materials that cost a lot. It's people that care about the same types of things, Matt, that you and I do when it comes to health and longevity and performance, and just kind of trying to optimize the health of our bodies from let's just say natural standpoint. Let's keep it as simple as possible. And it's just so interesting to find that these guys are the ones that care so much about it. I mean, small companies really, really impact the health community if we just find them.
Definitely. And you and I are aware of 2 big paleo companies, don't have to name names, that recently sold out or in the process of, and, selling to big corporation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the problem, right? We put our faith and our money into big companies that their goal is probably just to eventually sell the company. Mm-hmm. And you just have to question the integrity of those people.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of people in the industry that are happy about that deal. There's a lot of people that aren't happy. I just personally, for me, I've never seen a product improve off of a big acquisition. I've never seen them like go to different ingredients to improve the quality of the product. If anything, it falls. You know, Sis and I know has said that he's running the whole thing for 2 years. And where that may be true, I mean, after the 2 years, who knows? But my biggest issue with the acquisition, man, is that, I mean, the Heinz who acquired them have been using conventional methods for years and still are with the tomato sourcing. I mean, the exact stuff that causes birth defects, that is just horrendous for the environment. I mean, the chemicals, the pesticides, it's just outrageous. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. I personally couldn't, in my own state, knowing what they've done, take a product, even if I loved it so much, and say, you're the one I want to sell to. I would need my own vetting process to say, if I'm going to sell off to a big corporation, like what have they done in the past to deserve my product, and what are they doing in the future?
Well said. Yeah, and I think it's really cool that you mentioned earlier, like getting to know the owners. I'm realizing how important that is, because you can just get a vibe, as you know, new agey as that sounds, you can get a vibe and a feel for a person just by hearing them speak, right? And so you can decide what kind of energy that company has.
100%. It is the number one part of my approval process. It's the most important thing is the person behind the product. I mean, there's been 2 or 3 that have really made the cut, but the arrogance, where I thought that they were going to take their company, how they answered those questions behind closed doors, it was concerning. And so, we didn't move forward with the deal. So you're right.
Definitely. Yeah. I would say my 2 favorite products by far on your website right now are the Icelandic Flake Salt by Crucial 4 and the Rocky Mountain Stoneblood Shilajit tincture. I'm obsessed with those products.
Dude, two extremely powerful products, created by 2 extremely awesome people. And, I want to bring, it's definitely my goal to bring us an elite boutique type product inventory when we're talking about supplements, while also complementing it with food products. And if a packaged good product can make the cut, which is always hard, I think they all deserve a spot if they're all respecting regenerative agriculture and sourcing, and those 2 products do. And it's really cool to see what Charles Barber's doing behind the scenes beyond just product innovation and development. You got to follow Crucial 4. It's unbelievable. And it's why he is, if not probably my main go-to for product approvals. We have currently 6 experts on the team. All kind of have their own diversified background to help me make the best educated decision, until we can make enough money to actually have our own lab, which Charles is definitely on board and helping me with that kind of stuff. So yeah, and he was on your podcast. I think a lot of people already will be familiar with him. So
yeah, Charles is an awesome guy. And also Sarn with Tonic Treasures. I'm just so impressed with their commitment to integrity, and their Shilajit resin is unbelievable. So.
Oh yeah, and very easy to work with. That's a important thing too. It's cool, man. When you can just text back and forth and say, "Hey, man, did that go out today?" Yep, sweet.
Yeah. So how often do you cycle the products on your website? Is it like every couple months or?
So there is no consistency to that part, since it is kind of still startup phase. I mean, we got 20 products live on the site right now, maybe 19. The goal is to take this thing to 50 to 60 products. Okay. We'll never go over 60 at this point in time. And what we want to do is definitely keep 2 to 4 products coming in and out on a weekly basis. And we want to, this is in development now, but it's going to be really easy to pop around the site with different categories and filters coming. So it's just so designed to be able to just like pop in for like 20 minutes. A lot of people go and they just want to buy one product, but you pop in 20 minutes, you can see little 2-minute excerpts and little videos on each one of the creators and just become familiar with 50 to 60 elite products. And if you're in the mood for one of them, just pop it into your cart, watch your savings add up, and it's just a different experience, man.
I love your website. It's a great way to try new products. I still shop on there if there's something that I haven't tried yet. I mean, you have this coconut oil on there. I'm going through like 5 gallons a month, and it's probably not the best stuff, but the one I'm looking at here looks really good. 3-pack for $25.
Yeah, man, you get a big old one, and then you get two little ones if you're the kind of person that likes to take that with you. Like if you're doing the coconut oil in the mouth and all that stuff, if you want to use it on your skin, if you believe in that. But yeah, the deals always kind of introduce you to hopefully their whole product line. So I wouldn't say we're like bulk or anything by that, but it's easier to allow you to save more money by putting a little bit more into there. It makes sense from a shipping standpoint because I don't ship any of the products. It's all coming from the vendors separate. So if you load your cart up with 10 things, you might get 10 different shipments, but it's no frills because I want to make a platform that makes it as easy as possible to get introduced to some of the most elite ingredient conscious brands on the face of the earth. And in order to do that, sometimes you got to bring that price down. And so I don't really make any money off of what I'm doing because it's so important for me to have members and to share these products. When you go to other e-commerce platforms and you're looking at Thrive Market, Public Goods, like you're going to find 4,000, 10,000 items. That's not what this is designed to be because it is designed to really give the exposure to that brand and give them the best opportunity to flourish and get into the hands of consumers that are passionate about ingredients that hop on Instagram and share their experience and what they're doing with the product. It's like, I'm thinking like large term impact. Like how can we do this at impact,
That's super awesome. Yeah. And I think sustainability is something that it's not optional. We definitely have to work that into our lifestyle because if, everyone's taking a certain unsustainable product or supplement, we're just contributing to the problem.
I agree. That's my recent passion, man, is like, we throw the word sustainable around a lot, but guess what? It is important. I mean, when we're talking environmentally, it is important. And when we're talking about nutritional density in our ingredients, it is everything, like restoring soil health. So, it used to be for me all about just like looking at the ingredients, vetting the source. And now it's like, let's go even deeper beneath the label. Let's get to the soil. Let's figure out what farmer this came from. Let's figure out if we are creating a platform that's taking people's, I guess, I don't want to say dollars, but I would just say awareness to other ways of how ingredients are being implemented into their food.
Well said. Yeah, I think people are funneling their money into a lot of corporations unconsciously that are actually harming the earth and people's health. So definitely an education. And one thing I thought of while you were speaking was that a lot of these products last a while. Like for that salt, for example, someone that's used to buying table salt at the market for like $2, they're going to see, whoa, that's $14 for that, that salt. But that'll last you, 1 month, 2 months. I've found with a lot of pricey products, when they have integrity, you actually need less of them. And I think that's a really important point to make. People don't get that.
It's massive. Shoot, a little bit of Icelandic flake salt goes a long, long way. It is the best flavored salt I've ever had. It's fun to use when you're putting it on something that's temperature is even a bit warm. It just like you watch it like it's pieces of flake snow disappear into the product or in whatever you want to use it on. If you're a meat eater, if you're not a meat eater, it doesn't matter, man. But I am so intrigued with salt and its benefits right now. I think it's just a nutritional driver of nutrients.
Yeah, the potassium, the sodium, the magnesium, it's really important for cortisol from what I've researched. If people are on a salt-free deal, that can tend to exacerbate stress, especially if they're keto and restricting carbs.
I've noticed a difference in my own life with incorporating more salt in terms of stress levels because, I pop back and forth to do a little bit of different eating styles, carnivore I've done before. Have not done vegan or anything like that, but I've done keto before, and there's things that lack in obviously each lifestyle, and I feel like loading up on some of the salt during some of those times have made a difference in my own life for sure.
For sure. Yeah, and saturated fat as well. I've been really interested in that, which is why I think the coconut oil and the coconut products in general can really save the vegans, because they're getting so many PUFA and unsaturated fats and almost no saturated fats. And I personally believe the animal ones are more powerful, but the coconut is still very helpful.
I agree. We should probably hang out here for a minute too with on the vegan side of things. Just from a sustainability standpoint, it's for anybody that thinks going vegan is going to save the planet. I don't buy into it. I don't believe it. I do agree that factory farming is an issue. Trust me on that one. But, when I look at vegan certified products now and we see just the low integrity ingredients being used, from GMO soy and all the cheap crops, man. That's the big issue right now. I mean, it's happening everywhere. Just conventional farming is happening everywhere. And if we talk about global warming, which, God, I wish I was better at the science side of things. I mean, imagine destroying the soil to the point where everything's just kind of now stuck and condensed just on the surface, and there's just nothing to breathe. Wouldn't you think that would have some sort of impact on the global warming issue? And most of that crop style is what's implemented into vegan products. I mean, there is a ton of space. We have the space to actually perform regenerative agriculture. We're not using it. So it's not the animals' fault here. I mean, we need our animals out there picking up the grass,
Well said. Yeah, my friend introduced me to basically global cooling. And I think there's so much misinformation and greenwashing out there. There's a YouTube channel called Die Hold Foundation, 2 words, kind of a weird name. But there's a great video, Causes of the Ice Age. And basically this guy goes through the hard science of how we're actually going into a extreme cooling phase when we've been sold that we're going into a global warming thing. Which is very
I see. Always opening up my mind to some new conversation, Matty B.
Yeah, it's fun. And such great points you just made too. I've been looking into these huge vegan influencers, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands, unfortunately, of followers. And they're promoting, vegan burgers from Carl's Jr. or, as long as it's vegan, you're helping the planet. But you look at who's funding Beyond Meat and these plant-based burgers, and Tyson Farms. Tyson, which is the biggest factory farming company, mostly with chickens in the U.S. So the vegans are actually supporting factory farming usually when they buy these products.
It's actually 100% on point.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but it's it's an education. So
I think I just saw something either in the UK or something where it's a few babies or something just died because their parents were put them on this vegan diet for I don't know if you saw that, but I mean it was real. I mean, it happened with more than one baby. It was just really interesting, and these parents got in trouble for it, but they were super passionate about just strict vegan, and that's how they were feeding their child from the time it was born. It's dangerous. Definitely dangerous.
Yeah, I've seen a long-term raw foodists that I think they were on mostly a raw vegetable diet with minimal fruits. I think it was 90% greens, and they just fell apart, and they ended up on the news. And anyway, I've heard story after story of basically neurodegeneration and people kind of just losing their mind and going off the reservation from nutrient deficiencies. It's a very real thing. I think we tend to go to, mental and emotional work when a lot of the time it could just be physical. It could be a magnesium or a B vitamin deficiency.
For sure. Yeah, and I think it's important too. I mean, if anybody's listening to this podcast now who's listened to the No Diet podcast, I think people understand that Ritzfit is definitely all about bringing as many people who are passionate about sourcing and ingredients together in one nice, tight-knit community that can make an impact and difference. I have nothing against vegan. I don't separate myself from any of that because listen, if you're vegan, but you understand agriculture and you understand sourcing and you have the love for the ingredients, there's going to be products on Ritzfit for you. I mean, there's products that have marketing that say vegan approved on them because we've just dug deeper and we've figured out that these people aren't, one-sided, because that's also another thing is when we're dealing with a vegan product, like if I find content that blasts against, completely like not eating meat, or completely not just disrespecting some of what isn't the main issue, as we've just talked about, then there's a little bit of an issue, because again, it really is supposed to be community based. If you don't build the community, it becomes selfish, and the impact is not, I guess, achieved. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, that's super well articulated. And yeah, those vegan memes, you and I see them all the time. It's like saturated fat and cholesterol causes arterial plaque and heart disease. It's like, no, it doesn't. You ever heard of Ancel Keys? That's basically cherry picking these studies, right? And Weston A. Price. These are really important names to look into.
Yep, definitely read The Big Fat Surprise. Nina Teicholz. I always butcher her last name, but man, what a really good starting point just for you to be like, wow, well, this all actually makes sense. The research is here.
Yeah, from my research, it was, I think, in the 1950s, kind of mid 1900s, where they somehow convinced people that that margarine and vegetable oils and cottonseed oil was healthier for you than butter and lard and ghee. And it was a marketing campaign. I think it actually started in the 1930s.
Yep.
But that's real.
Yeah. Procter and Gamble had a big hand in the vegetable oil industry from that time. And a lot of this was promoted and seen by everybody because I think, who was it? Was it Teddy Roosevelt? I think it was Teddy Roosevelt who fell from a heart attack, and then they kind of really built this whole, I guess, notion that it was, saturated fat that caused this. So then that was like, oh shit, if our president's falling dead, then we got to stop,
Yeah. And just for context for people, there's basically two major branches of fats, and there's saturated fats and unsaturated fats. And saturated fats are essentially saturated with hydrogen, and unsaturated fats have 6 or less double bonds, depending on whether it's a highly unsaturated, polyunsaturated, or a mono. And they're super unstable and prone to oxidation versus saturated fat and cholesterol, which are very stable. I mean, you could set these on the shelf, you could cook with them, and they're very stable. But when we consume like something like cottonseed or corn or canola or sunflower or safflower, I mean, you name the vegetable oil, avocado, even olive oil, those can oxidize in our blood when they're exposed to heat and oxygen. And from my research, cause almost every disease, but especially heart disease.
Yeah, it produces, I think, aldehydes, if I'm right, if I'm using the right word. Once that kind of chemical combustion happens, and that's a leading cancer marker for sure. So it's scary, dude. Just think about a freaking. Just think about like something that naturally secretes its oil. Like that's really, let's simplify it. That's what you want. If a piece of corn needs to be heated to secrete its oil, that's processing, right?
Yeah, well said. And we hear all these memes of, honey is bee vomit and milk is, pus and hormones, and it's, all this stuff. And it's super brainwashing. And I think really the goal ultimately is the agenda to just shut down small family farms. And, Mark, I'm really passionate about bees, goat products, raw milk, and eggs, properly grown eggs. I mean, that's true nourishment. And that can actually kind of put a dent in this system that's hurting people's health and sending them to the hospital, right? If we had more small family farms, like Amish style, right? Your neighbor, go over there to buy some eggs or whatever.
Oh yeah. And if you're anything like me, I'm not in a state where I can get raw milk legally. It's very hard to consume a lot of the types of products that you do, Matt, and I would love to be able to do so. But for anybody that's not in your area and you're struggling with my same issues, there's a really cool resource, the Cornucopia Institute online. They have an unbelievable buying guide on a lot of this stuff. They tell you all the states that it's legal. They have an egg buying scorecard, so they'll score it from 5 all the way to 1. They'll tell you exactly if they're using soy in the feed, if you're somebody that doesn't want them to be using soy at all, because most of the eggs that are labeled organic, I mean, they're being, fed organic soy. So it really gives the consumer a little more education on buying, and they have a lot of the same beliefs we do, man. So it is a really cool resource, and they have more scorecards than just eggs. They got snack bars. They have, I believe they have a milk scorecard, if I can remember correctly, or I think it's a dairy scorecard. So check it out for sure. I think your audience will love it.
That's an awesome resource. Very cool. And I guess we can call out, I liked one of your stories, I think it was several months ago, when you called out Vital Farms, right? And they have different color packaging, and they're even in Vons now and big chain stores. But even with animal products, it's marketing, right? Because they could show a pasture and grass and say pasture raised, but they can still feed them GMO grains, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think Vital Farms is the best example to help educate consumers. Like, they have 3 packages from what I understand. I think they have a black one, they have a brown one, and then they have oh man, I don't know what the other color is. But the brown is what you want to support. It is, they're pasture raised and organic. So when you're looking at the black, it's not even organic. It just says pasture raised on it. So they're actually supplementing GMO feed there. Okay. Then they have a certified organic carton of eggs, which again is just, you're supplementing organic feed. And then, yeah, I think those are the 2 that I know off the top of my head. But the best thing you can do, I'm telling you, the Cornucopia Institute will show you the top companies, because they're looking at what's available to you in the grocery store. It's a little more convenient, because it is great to be able to go down the road and talk to your farmer and get eggs, which, I'm able to do that with some, but sometimes I'm in a bind and I need eggs. And so I'll support the Vital Farms, the brown package.
Awesome. That's really good stuff. And that's a really good point, is we're providing options for people, right? That's like the education, because not everyone can make it to the farmer's market every week. They have kids, something comes up. Sometimes we're going to have to supplement with store-bought food, or ideally the co-op or the farmer's market. But if we can't do that, our local health food store. And then it comes down to just having this information in our head, right? And knowing what to look for and what company to support.
And I think some of these small farmers, man, I think that they would love to have the opportunity to create something that is able to be into a store, which is why I think if we can become more educated on those people and purchase from them over and over and over and over again, these companies are going to adjust. Look, I mean, I worked for Costco for over 10 years. I like some of the products Costco's bringing in. Do I wish I could be my one-stop shop for for Ritzfit approved products? That would be super awesome. And I think that bigger retailers, as much as we want to hate on them at the moment, we love convenience. We love going grocery shopping. Retail's not dead, that's for sure. I'm in there and I'm seeing bajillions of people walk out with stuff. I'm like, okay, it's not dying. But I would not have any issues with these products coming into these doors. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's changing the lives of the farmers. It's impacting the environment because they're buying at scale, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I personally love Costco. I think it gets a bad rap, and maybe at the higher levels, maybe it's not at the highest integrity, but they do have high integrity products. They have organic products, and I could find a lot of edible stuff there. We're going to have to eat. We can't be orthorexic. That's something I've realized the last year, just seeing this trend of people stressing about their health and stressing about staying strict on a diet. And that's why I love your thing, no diet.
Dude, it's the most important. I've told this story so many times, man. I've told it to you behind the scenes so much. The healthiest I felt in 2 years was when I was doing the most unhealthy things. I've been trying to grow my business for a long time, and that requires a lot of me locking myself away and being on the computer, being away from the light. And, my best friend was getting married, and we went out to his wedding in Florida and drank a whole bunch of booze, and we ate a whole bunch of shitty food from the bar, and I was out running and jumping and playing volleyball, and it was by far the best I felt from a mental standpoint from a happiness standpoint, from a physical standpoint, because I was moving and I was outside. So look, as much as I love food, I will always tell you managing stress is definitely, in my opinion, the most important. And that's another reason why I think the Ritzfit platform is cool, because I'm trying to make it stress-free, not just like something that's vegan, not something that's carnivore, not something that's this and that. I want there to be a little something for everybody. And I want it to be engaging, where people respect one another. Like, you can go to Thrive Market and shop the vegan section. You can go to Thrive Market and shop the paleo section, but that's not necessarily bringing everybody together to engage with one another, love one another, and respect ingredients and sourcing, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's really, we need to get everyone behind supporting sustainability and integrity. And I think a lot of the dietary wars comes from a difference in opinion, but it's more than opinion. It's just a difference in people haven't educated themselves about Ancel Keys or George and Mildred Burr that discovered essential fatty acids, but they're not essential because in the 1940s, they just created a zinc and a B6 deficiency. And just looking at the history of how we've gotten to where we've gotten, it's just basically a bunch of marketers that have convinced us that, hey, you're killing the planet by eating meat and supporting the dairy industry. But it's actually supporting these big corporations. We have to get back to supporting the small guys.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, what if we were able to become as educated as possible about sourcing ingredients and learning about as many products out there to help us along our journey, to the point where we could literally eat anything we wanted when we were craving it and feel okay about it. I mean, there goes the stress. If you want a little bit of sugar and you can have, yes, cacao that has, it's chocolate that's got sun-dried cane sugar, very responsibly sourced, you go to bed and you don't feel like, oh shit, I just ate sugar. Or you can eat the most high-integrity raised cattle in the world that have just grazed on the most beautiful soil, nutritionally dense cattle you've ever seen, and eat a big juicy steak and just feel okay about it. I mean, there's food for everyone, but man, how important is it to just source well?
Well said. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you before I forget about eggs. Last thing on those, I've been getting the question a lot with the egg yolk being darker.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that? And is it super important? Because this one woman told me, she was like, the local eggs I buy from my farmer aren't as dark as the ones I can get at the store. But isn't that just isn't that like a carotenoid content or something?
Well, I actually will tell you that it very well most likely does make a difference. So the yellow has something to do with, I believe it's choline, which has its... We need to pop over and understand what the benefits are, because there are health benefits. Again, hey, this is why I got a team of experts that approve all the products. I'm just the passionate consumer that's like everybody else. But, I've learned a lot in my own journey. And yes, if it's more golden yellow, orange, it does have a higher level of choline, which, what is it? I think it's a B vitamin, and it's, it's an essential nutrient. So if your local farmer is bringing you eggs, and you are cracking them open, and maybe it's alongside of a Vital Farms egg that you got from the grocery store, and the Vital Farm is looking more beautiful. I mean, I would probably ask your farmer a little bit more questions about what's going on, because they're most likely supplementing feed. I mean, they are. Most companies do. I can't get any eggs out here that they don't use supplemental feed. I just got to make sure that I'm eating eggs that they're using the best organic supplemental feed possible. But again, where's the balance? How much are they allowing the chickens to pasture raise, and how much are they supplementing feed? If the yellow is not looking very good, then there's a very good chance that they're consuming a lot more feed than what you're either being told or what you are believing, I guess, So yes, it makes a difference.
So with chicken feed, you made me think of, supplemental feed. Like you said, they're usually going to have to use that. Like right here where I'm living in the mountains, it's snowing, and I plan on getting chickens very soon. And a lot of farmers will feed them GMO grain or nuts and seeds. So, a lot of polyunsaturated, basically unsaturated fats. And unlike chickens actually absorb, they don't really have a detox mechanism for unsaturated fat. So the chickens actually will concentrate that better in the eggs. So it's my research that actually non-GMO corn is a decent food for chicken. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, you want to, again, non-GMO is different than organic. If you have organic, you know it's non-GMO. So very, very important to respect the organic standard. I mean, sure, organic standard is 95% of the ingredients by weight being organic. So again, I mean, you just, when you're using non-GMO, you're still allowed to use synthetics and whatnot.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, and that's something I think I learned from you last year, because that's where it gets confusing. So you're saying the USDA organic label is pretty legit?
Yeah, man, you should 100% support that label. It can be better, but you look at products, you look at labels, you see something that says made with organic ingredients. So the law behind that is 70% of the ingredients by weight are organic. The other 30% could be whatever. Then you see USDA organic, that's 95%. If you see made with 100%, you have to see the number, made with 100% organic ingredients, it's 100%. USDA organic means you're not allowed to use synthetic processing, herbicides, or pesticides, right? Non-GMO still allows for those processes. It just means that you used non-GMO herbicides and pesticides.
That's amazing. What a play on words. Yeah, they do the same with the omega-3 and omega-6. I think they sell linoleic and linolenic. I talk about this with Adam Bergstrom in my previous episode, is they play a trick on farmers because they actually give them the cheaper one where it's actually more unstable and it's cheaper for them to provide it. So it's a lot of wordplay I'm finding, and just kind of tricking people with that and marketing.
Yep, 100% right, dude.
And not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but you just look at our history and, all of these books that are pushed, like we often hear of the China study, that's been debunked to the moon and back, so good stuff. So your website is ritzfit.com, ritzfit.com. And I actually have a deal on my website for you guys. It's a lifetime membership, and you get a $40 store credit when you purchase that through my website. And that's matt-blackburn.com. So I appreciate you hooking it up, Mark, with that.
Yeah, man, you and one other person only access to lifetime memberships. That's it's all about getting the monthly people in, but it's your audience deserves it. I know a lot of people don't like monthly fees. I know some people don't like the surprise annual fees like Prime and stuff. There is an option for everybody. It really is $10 a month or $97 a year, but I highly encourage you. It is a special page just for you and your audience. It is $197 up front, $40 back. You can use it on whatever you want. You never have to pay again. It just kind of takes the stress out of seeing that extra pop in your monthly bills come in. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's really the least I could do for your audience, Matt. You've been really supportive for a while with Ritzfit. So
yeah, I really appreciate that. And I just want to say that people will easily get that back and more within a few months, especially if they order most of the products that you have featured. I've saved a ton just ordering from your website, and it has introduced me to not only a product, but the entire brand, which is really cool. And it's made me, meet the owner and connect with them, and really high integrity stuff.
It's a powerful shopping experience. I mean, what's really fascinating about this is like the deals are so good that sometimes when I'm negotiating, people will be like, I don't want my product to be seen with that price because I don't want my brand to be devalued. And then I say, let's just take a couple steps back. Let's look back at the process that I'm going through in order to approve the product. Let's also talk about the types of members we have on hand, the people that are going to share, the people that are the most discerning shoppers on earth that's really going to do the opposite. We don't devalue your product. price is just a bonus. It's just a thank you for being that discerning shopper and for putting that trust into our product. I mean, that's the least a product creator can do, is to offer it at a great price. So that is just a bonus that comes with the platform. Will you rekindle your membership fee quick? Oh my goodness, yes. Because look, I come from Costco, man. They got the most powerful buyers in the world. The prices are very important, but it's really important to understand that we're valuing these products, we're valuing discerning shoppers, and we're valuing sourcing.
Awesome. Definitely, guys, go support Mark. Check out the No Diet podcast and see his interviews with the founders of these companies. And head over to my website and check out the lifetime membership. It's definitely worth it. So appreciate all the info. Thanks for coming on, Mark.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Shop beneath the label.
That wraps up episode 6 of Divine Superconductor Radio. Mark is really a wealth of knowledge, and I love his info on eggs and dairy. He is super knowledgeable about that. The Cornucopia Institute, I was not aware of that website. That is a super useful tool for those of us that want to be conscious about the farms that we support, which I think is really one of the most important parts of whether you're vegetarian or paleo. If you're consuming milk, eggs, cheese, they should come from a good source where they're treating the animals properly and feeding them the right foods. So if you like this podcast, please subscribe and write a review. That really helps me out a lot. And share this with your friends, of course. You can also support me by purchasing products from my website, and that can be found at matt-blackburn.com. Today's quote is by Joel Salatin. From zoning to labor to food safety to insurance, local food systems daily face a phalanx of regulatory hurdles designed and implemented to police industrial food models, but which prejudicially wipe out the antidote: appropriate scaled local food systems.